stream. I'm gonna stream the close here on a Friday afternoon. I'm pretty under the weather, but I was feeling a little better. Thanks to the gents that ran the trade room this morning. Also just wanted to jump on so I could be lazy and rather than create formalized content, let everybody know that the Prop Done Right ebook is done and ready. And I just want to see if this broadcast started over here. Should be. Says it's working. All right, good. Something went wrong. That's great. Something went wrong. What went wrong? Help a brother out here. Eventually I'll get this down. There we go. Well, when I try to click on it, it says something went wrong, so maybe it's working, maybe it's not. We'll see. Anyway, I'll do my week in review on the performance. My performance again really doesn't matter, but it's pretty strong close here on a Friday. Gets the week into the green after starting out digging a hole. I like a challenge, as I had mentioned. I'm going to be a little distracted if I can't get this thing to work. There we go. Maybe. Okay, now it's working. Cool. All right. There we go. Can someone put something in the chat, just like a 1 for picture and sounds working okay? That would be great. Then we're good to go on that. I'm leading into the end of this week short. Just one left. Kind of caught the highs. So we'll see what happens there. And then over here, I'm going to be buying it a little bit right above.
Order submitted.
Right before we get to VWAP, we'll see if we can get a little fill here.
Order filled. Order submitted.
I'd be expecting a move back down to VWAP and maybe a little longer. We have not had a strong close in quite a week, in quite a while. But getting back to the Prop Done Right stuff, if you download the ebook, you get it delivered instantly. And then also, I have finished a 10 video course that accompanies it. So you'll be getting an email every day telling you a little bit about each chapter, a little color commentary for each chapter. Also, it'll point you in the direction of other things that you can get familiar with when it comes to the stuff that I do in terms of free education, which is the trade room, also the Futures Fanatic course, and all that's in the description of this video here, so you can take a look at that. All right, we got a little pop there. See if we can get up to this purple line, which is the +1s. Right there would be our target. As soon as we get above this level, I'll trail a pretty tight sell stop.
Order submitted.
Just to preserve the profits there. Top chat. Let me see here. Moderation helps everyone feel safe. Close. All right, cool. Here we go. There we go.
Order filled.
All right, stopped out. Do not want to be short there going into the afternoon.
Canceled.
I'm already short in another account, kind of small. So I can play this last section between basically 2100 and 21300s. Good day over here, trading the stay in the lane on both the Dow, and I think I had one trade on the MES, a really short one here. So yet another. So that's 731 bucks. Ooh, let me move this out of the way. Download now. There we go. 731 bucks. Again, this is the TDG way with really small accounts. So I don't know if you can see up here, the net lick on this account is 81.50. I trade it between around 7,500 and 10,000, and then just take profits out, take profits out, take profits out. This is the connection with Tasty Trade. It's pretty bad. I would not recommend trading on this. I mean, if you use limit orders, but certainly not scalping. Someone was asking about thoughts on indices. For that, I just generally go to this higher time frame on a 4 hour. Wait for the let's wait. I don't know. There's the volume profile. So we're outside the value area of this. This is a visible range profile, so that it's going to put the profile in here from whatever amount of time or data you're providing it. So that's back from basically the beginning of March is how I'm kind of looking at it. So the last 35 days or so. And you can see that we are, again, if you know how to read these volume profiles, this is outside the 78% area here. So bottoming, finding a process. Now, this wick is a little bit more pronounced than some of these other wicks. So, and then this line, which is the ATR, up to 136 per 4 hour candle. Feels like it's been more than that. It seems like it's been moving 150 points in 5 minutes, but not the S&P. But anyway, 130 point 4 hour candle is pretty substantial. ATR is up to, what is our ATRs up to, folks? They're 110 on the S&P. So I don't ever have any thoughts other than what are the opportunities, and the opportunities I continue to think favor buying the dips and then selling the rips real quick. So you're doing both. Not trying to pick a bottom here, just buying the dips, selling the rips, buying the dips, selling the rips. And we'll stay in that until probably we get back up into this area here. Now, if you can read this profile, what you'll see is this is a really high volume node right there. Almost as much so as this and this. So you got a pretty high volume node right there. I know that's covering the candles. So right there. All right. So there's the S&P. On the NASI, wait for the profile, wait. Same thing. We're outside value. And my eye just sort of sees what does the market want to do when it gets into these the valleys in between these peaks. Same thing. We have real correlated action between all the stock indices today. Put in that sort of reaction low, got below 20,000. I was fortunate to hold on and add to those puts, and worked out pretty well. So I have no open positions. Oh, they took the other one off as well. So 687 bucks or so in profits today, and that was from short puts, and I was trading around it on the underlying over here as well. I'm going to cancel these orders. It's late in the day. We don't need to potentially get filled on any crazy pop. There we go. So I had been short puts at 20,000 yesterday. This morning they were way up. I could have covered them for 80 cents on the dollar, if not more. And I decided to not do that. And then we came all the way back to the area in which I could eventually or potentially been assigned, but unfortunately I wasn't assigned. So that was good. Hello from Denmark. It's got to be late in Denmark. Is it 9, 10 o'clock at night? Maybe later than that, right? 11 o'clock at night? 10 o'clock at night? It's late. President Trump is speaking at a digital assets summit. So anyway, folks, you can ask some questions if you'd like. That'd be great. That will give me something to talk about for the next. We got one more minute until we see till we get our market on close. But really encourage you, especially if you're watching this after the fact, which most people do, check out the link in the description. I'll pin it as well, and get your copy of Prop Done Right. It's a pretty detailed ebook that repeats itself quite a bit. I say the same things 10 times because that's what I feel like I need to do. Us guys, we're mostly guys, right? Got to get things through your head. Nude, girls, XXX. Got to tell you 3 times. I got to tell you 3 times that prop accounts are really, really small accounts. And if you treat them right, you can cash flow them. You can use copiers. And you can turn this into something that can really complement and supplement your income. What I track over here is only for... Let me show you what I track over here. I'll show you exactly. I've never shown this before, but I'm going to show it right here. Right here. Okay. So account with 15, 3, 87, 81, 7,000. This is a crypto account that I do very little with. And then here's the profits that I take out of it. And then here are prop accounts that I'm trading. All these others have 0 balances because I'm not trading them or doing anything with them. Be careful on that when you get these activated accounts. Make sure you do trade them because they'll turn them off. So don't do that, but I have sort of special relationships with some of these firms. But anyway, this, where did it go? This is generated just from that. So on a percentage basis, you can see it's pretty wild, and micros make money. You know, micros do make money. Micros make money. These are some PA accounts here. I believe the threshold to take a payout is 5,000 or something, maybe a little bit more. Doesn't really matter. I generally run them up quite a bit, and then maybe I'll take some payouts from them. But I have the PAs so that I can track PAs and live accounts and show that trading small and using micros across a variety of accounts can actually add up in a meaningful way. Sling around minis at your own risk. If you have 40 or 50,000 in risk capital and you can do a $3,000 daily risk budget, then by all means, you are properly capitalized to trade minis. If not, you're gambling. And all that's covered in the prop ebook. Great. That's awesome. The other thing, I mean, there's so much that happens when you switch to micros, everybody. Well, first of all, if your account's under $30,000 or $40,000, real dollars, not a $2,500 account that sim money that these prop programs are. So, for instance, in this account right here, you drag this one. I want to bring the right version of TWS up. Okay, this is a typical day for me, $365. And look, can you see these symbols? MES, MNQ, MYM. $15,000 is triple the size of even a $300,000 funded account when you're first starting out. Now, I get it that some people are capable of really running up these balances and then continuing to push it, take big payouts. It's just not sustainable. Get off that hamster wheel. Check out this Prop Done Right book. You'll get 10 free lessons each day. Each day you'll get a new email lesson where I just basically cover the lesson for you. And as I said, I repeat the same thing many, 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 many times. Can you live off of making a few $100s a day consistently in a $15,000 account? I don't know. I don't know where you are and what part of the world you are, but you can certainly supplement and complement your income. And then you can take this same methodology and apply it across a variety of different firms and a few accounts at each firm. You don't have to have 10 accounts at each firm or have 5 different prop relationships. You can just choose a few with the goal of eventually always building your live account and having that cash flow as well. So that's what's discussed in the book, not the longer term play of compounding your gains and investing in other things and using the skill that you develop as a trader to be just one component or one pillar of how you profit from markets. because the question that comes up all the time, do I trade micros in my primary accounts? No, I don't. I trade options on treasuries. But I don't teach on that because there's not very many people that can do that. And there's also no prop firms that are currently allowing futures options. So it doesn't really make any sense to teach on that. I was going to plan on teaching on that, and I decided to hold off for a little while and get the prop done right thing out. And the next thing will be how to trade MES and MNQ futures options. All right, here we go. Strong close. I'll close
Order
that.
canceled. Order filled.
They're buying with the last 5 minutes. They don't
Order
mind being
filled.
long.
Order filled.
They don't mind being long. Anyone got some longs on there? Make sure. Ooh, yikes. I must have had a pending order here.
Order
Just close
filled.
that. Let me just cancel all these orders.
Order canceled.
So what I'm actually going to do is cancel all these orders and log out of this, disconnect, and then log into something that I just started earlier this week, and I'm going to have a conversation with them, and I'm really excited. It's a firm called the Futures Desk, and what I dig about them is they're the first people ever that have done what I've asked all these firms to do, which let me log into this. It might take a little while to bring this up. But when I get to my accounts, do you see the account value there? I'll wait till it loads so I can move things around. $258. Not $50,258 or $100,258. It just says $258. That's how prop used to work and still does now at certain firms. Thank goodness Top Step changed it. When you do have an XFA or funded account, it starts at zero because that's what it really is. Then you build it up to $3,000, you have a $3,000 account, not a $53,000 account, which makes it look and feel and act and make you believe that you can trade a lot bigger than you should. So this firm's called the Futures Desk, and I will be talking to the founder on Monday, and then we're probably going to arrange a opportunity to tell people a little bit more about that. Has anyone ever heard of the Futures Desk? I hadn't heard of them before, but I came in here, and the other thing is they have the ability, you can trade 2 minis or 20 micros. That's still way, way, way too big. So no one's come in and truly created a program the way it should be, which is a zero account balance, and you can trade max 4 micros, 4 to 6 micros with a potential scaling amount. You know why I haven't done that? Because no one would buy it, right? No one would buy that when they could instead get a $2,500 or $3,000 account for $15 when Bullnox or Apex or Earn to Trade or whoever has 90% off sales, right? But anyway, I'll be talking to them. Just got 2 more minutes left in the session. Yeah, Great Dane's saying he's so much more calm. So guess what's also covered in the Prop Done Right ebook is emotional capital. Let me bring it up real quick. I'll bring it up over here. I'll spend 2 minutes just going through it real quick. So what we call that is emotional capital. And your emotional capital, Great Dane's saying he's more calm. So the chapters are a little bit about the futures prop trading revolution, what it is and what it isn't. A little bit about me and why you might want to listen to me. And the essentials. Again, understanding your risk size, micros only, building the right habits. And then the most important thing possible, or the most important thing to learn, establishing, protecting, and respecting a daily risk budget, which cannot exceed 10% of your entire account size. So if you have a $2,500 account, that's $250 a day. Try trading with a $250 daily risk budget and trading one mini of anything and see how well you can abide by that. It's not going to happen. But to some of the comments I'm seeing today, why these rules matter is because it's going to keep you in the game. It also prevents these emotional blowups. Let's face it, it's just a lot easier to handle a $100 or $200 or $300 loss than it is to see a $500 or $700 loss on the screen. You just panic, right? So you got to set that in stone. But I wanted to get down to, by the way, when you're first starting out, just trade the micro Dow. Don't argue with me. Acorns to oak trees is the concept of starting small, planting a lot of acorns, and letting those grow into oak trees, not just being impatient, trying to have it happen all the time. Using leverage properly is using a trade copier across multiple accounts. Here's what I was getting at, this emotional capital. So what we do with emotional capital is we actually give it a score. So we have this framework that gives it a score. 0 to 10. So it's kind of like golf. The fewer strokes you have, the better. The more calm you are. If you're not bogeying holes, then you're going to have a lower emotional capital score. We always joke, how would you rate your pain? So the goal is to stay in this area here, which is to outpace what your daily risk budget is, so you're truly producing risk-adjusted returns. What you're not going to find in this book is a lot of talks of strategies and in the charts and all that, all the nonsense where people hang out. You literally could have a chicken choose which direction and instrument you're going to trade. If you can just abide by controlling this, you're going to be in good shape. I don't know Ryan trading. I'll tell you, there are so many. I mean, there's just too many to even possibly keep track of, right? I mean, there's just too many to even keep track of. And ultimately, the reason I wrote this book is for people to understand how this stuff really works. And there is a whole mention of strategy in here. It's through this training agenda, the strategy workshop overview. But I really did it just as a way to introduce people to our community and to our trade room, because that's where all the learning really happens. There's, as I say on my website right here, the only way to learn anything and develop a skill is through daily deliberate practice. So, and I hate to break it to you, if you're really not capable of being somewhere watching someone who knows what they're doing trade the kind of New York Open in the futures markets, it's just going to slow you down, because if you can't do that because of your job, or it's the middle of the night, or because you're in Asia or something, active futures trading might not be for you. Or find something else, or you could trade micro Bitcoin or something like that. But you want to be around to watch the New York Open for when the S&P and the NASDAQ and the stock indices start to really trade. There you go. There's a little move down from. This is the primary trading strategy. This is the range trader here on the left. This is stay in your lane here on the right. They're mostly mean reversion. You do not have to become a mean reversion trader. The only thing you have to do is learn how to manage risk. I don't really care what your strategy is, but you better be able to show that your stops and targets are always dynamic. If they're fixed, you're fucked. That's never going to work. Oh, but I have a positive expectancy. I win 58.2% of the time. So my risking 10 ticks to make 12 ticks or 15 ticks as a pot. No, it doesn't. You're fooling yourself. It does not. Markets are dynamic. Your stops, targets, and entries have to be dynamic every single day. If it's a pullback to a moving average, that's fine. Those are dynamic. But just make sure if it's a pullback to a moving average that your target is not simply a 3-to-1 ratio between the low of the day or some sort of fixed amount below that moving average. None of that will work. So is this the only strategy that I've ever traded? No, I trade dozens of different models. But in terms of teaching people how to do this, you need something like, you see this red line up here? You put the order on this line, And when it gets there, you sell it. If you're impatient, you don't want to wait for that, you can buy the next swing here and here. These are 13-period swings. Could short those. If you got long at this pullback to this, which is not really a strategy play, but some people do, then your target is the next swing or up here. And then your stops are just measured moves from those targets to keep them at least 1-to-1, if not better. So let me explain. If you were to get long here, again, that's not a strategy, not part of this strategy. Let's do it better. You get short here. That is part of it. You just measure the move from here to here, which is right here. So you have a dynamic entry, right? Volatility band, dynamic, based on 1 and 2 standard deviations from VWAP. So you've solved the issue of you're using volume and using volatility. Order filled. What happened? Just a second.
Order filled.
Just got filled on a Bitcoin order up here. All right, let me just get rid of all of my orders.
Order canceled.
So you measure that. Look at how big this is today because of the volatility. It's 126 points to go from what we call the +2s, 2 standard deviations, down to here. So if it was 126 and you wanted at least a 1-to-1, you could put a stop 126 points above there, and you were doing it right. You also have a higher probability that this will find a reversal here, then continue to move. So you're also entering at a time where the trade is going to be easier to manage. But if you wanted a 2-to-1 ratio, what would you do? I'm not very good at math. Let's say it's 120 instead of 126. We could do it though. If we wanted a 2-to-1 ratio, we put in a 63-point stop and we have a 126-point target. Everything is now dynamic. Everything is adjusted to the current session that you're trading right now. All right, cool. It's a Friday. I'm feeling a little better, man. I took a lot of Benadryl and pounded all my organic juices. All right. I think that'll be it. I'm just on here so I don't get fined. No, I'm here so that you guys can check out the Prop Done Right ebook. Let me put it right here in the chat so you don't even have to do any work, but you can look at the description again. So it's right here. Please check out the ebook. Again, it's totally free. Just put in a valid email address. Let me just read these questions real quick. I'll get through that. If I'm down 1K on my prop account, is it possible to work my way back out of a hole? 100%. I would also suggest that if you start and only use micros, you read the book and you start with the Dow Jones, it's going to be very difficult for you to even get down $1,000. Because if you're still here, live music so much or whatever, what account size are you trading? A 50, 100,000? Let's just say you're trading a $100,000 account, just as an example. That's a $3,000 account, right? 3,000 drawdown, $3,000 profit. No, sorry, $3,000. Let's not use the hundreds because I don't know anymore. I think it's a $6,000 profit objective and like a $3,500 drawdown. That's not good. Keep it closer to 1-to-1. So it's a $50,000 account. You got to make 3. You got 2,500 you're working with. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't deposit $2,500 in an account and trade anything that could get me down $1,000 in a short period of time. I would trade 1 or 2 Dow Jones. Lowers my stress, allows me to campaign around price because it's only 50 cents a tick. You go and trade the S&P or the NASDAQ, you're screwed. So the answer is yes, you can absolutely work your way out of 1,000. In fact, it's the best possible thing you could do in terms of practicing discipline, practicing a strategy, treating your evaluation account or even your funded account that's down as a real thing instead of just going, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to blow this thing up. I'll buy another one for $20 and start again. You stay on that hamster wheel, you're screwed. You're screwed in a lot of ways. One, you're going to give these firms way more money than you should. Right? So not only is it possible, but it's a great exercise, and do it by switching off of whatever got you into that problem, reading the ebook. The ebook will tell you to have a $250 daily max loss per day. Can you lose 4 days in a row and be down $1,000? I'm going to sneeze here in a second. Yeah. When you're first starting out, you can. But come in our room, check out the P&L porn that people post every day. Do we have losing days? Of course. Do we have back-to-back losing days? Rare. Do we have back-to-back-to-back losing days? Almost never. I haven't lost 3 days in a row doing this, which is basically the bunny slopes for me. I've tracked this whole year, and thanks for sticking around. I'll get to the rest of the questions, and the reason I show this is not to say, how great am I? It's to also say that I know only 1 out of every 100 traders even invest the money to have a paid trade journal like this. There's others. You can use a free one, but you need something as detailed as this so that you know all of your stats. So I'm going to leave this up because there was another question on hello from Denmark. Do you think they'll rebound? Do you trade all day? I do not trade all day. I trade for about 90 minutes to an hour in the morning, and then I look at the machines occasionally throughout the remainder of the day. I have too much self-care. I got Pilates. I got trainers. I got to ground. I got to meditate. Can't be in front of these screens all day. All right. How many micros do you trade at a time? That's also in the ebook. Your sizing is determined by your daily risk budget. If you have a daily risk budget of $250, I would suggest you can never have on any more than three micro contracts for any instrument. And if you have graduated up to the NASDAQ, you cannot have more than one micro NASDAQ. If you have a $250 risk budget. The results that you're seeing on the screen are with $440 to $1,180 risk budgets, much bigger risk budgets, and that's per account. And as you'll see in the ebook, that's because I've earned the right to have a much bigger risk budget. Your risk budget increases not when you increase your account size. All that nonsense you see about trade 1 contract, then 2 contracts, then you get up to this, then trade 3 contracts, that's just disaster. It's reverse martingale insanity. Because first of all, most people don't even have the skill set to deal with that. That's a lot like saying, it's just silly. I won't even get into all that. If you think stuff like that works, try to figure out how to do that at a blackjack table effectively. When you know that the outcome of every new thing is just 50-50, and now you're just doubling all your money because you just had a winning streak. It's the dumbest education I've ever heard. Compounding is the greatest thing ever. You should compound your investments. Reinvest your dividends, let things grow. Day trading accounts are meant to be cash flowed. So I would say no more than 3 micros. Were there any other questions? Any advice on growing capital beyond these small props? Well, Jess, I don't know. Can you live off $40,000 a month? This is $43,000 real dollars. Real. This is all, I joke with my team. I mean, it takes me a long time to come in here and make up all this shit and doctor it and import losses and gains and show trading on a Sunday. I don't know how much more you need to scale up than that. I'm playing this game while this game exists. Do I make more money than this in my other account? Yeah, I do, but that doesn't matter. I don't need, let me show you a screenshot that I saved today from just, we have some superstars. Everyone's mileage will vary, but there's a gentleman, I don't know if he's watching, shout out to Luke, that I think he has 40 or 50. I don't want to exaggerate. Let's say it's 30. Even if it's at 30, he has 30 paid PA accounts, or whatever you want to call them, funded accounts that qualify for payouts at various firms. And here it is. This is probably going to be too small to see. I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in on it. Can you guys see this? Where do I zoom? There we go. What do you need to scale up from that? Just make $82 in one account, 83 in another, 165, 87, 87, 84, 166, 166, 624, 624. Well, I mean, I don't know. Now, how long will this last? I don't know. Will these all get regulated out of business, or, you know, but here's someone who's playing the game right, who's dealing with the cards that they've been dealt. Right? And then over on the Discord, as I point out quite often, you know, there's so many educators and courses and things out there where they're talking about the payout certificate. The funding certificates, which is, don't get me wrong, that's a great first start. But we don't really celebrate that. What we celebrate is payouts, baby. Is verified. People just, now, this isn't typical, but it happened. And it happened from someone who's using the frameworks and using the approaches. What's more typical is this. And I've gone through this on every live that I've done, so I'll just keep repeating it. You know? Hey, Art, Bullnox has sent you $2,848. Hey, Arthur, Bullnox has sent you $4,500. Yeah. All right. I have no problems with trade copier constantly freezing and ghosting on me. We don't have any of those problems. So if you have a good computer and you use something like, well, first of all, the best trade copier to use is one that's just sort of just built into the software. So if you're having those kinds of trouble, then just use TopStep X, get accounts with TopStep, and use their copier because it works perfectly. So just get three accounts. I can't keep up with, I don't know where they've done, if you can have 5 XFAs or 3 XFAs or no XFAs. I don't know. But if you're looking to copy within one platform, start there. And then we use Replicanto. So we use Replicanto, and it works great. Never have any problems with it. I don't know exactly what size all those accounts are. If you come into our trade room, you can ask them yourself. Come into our trade room, ask them yourself. I believe that most of them are 50,000. I think they're 25 and 50,000, but I can't be sure. All right, any other questions for today? Remember, download Prop Done Right. Tell your friends about it. Completely free. It'll also give you access to my free 30 video course called the Futures Fanatic Foundation course. This Prop Done Right course also has its own 10 video course. There's a method to my madness here, folks. I have a vested interest in some of these prop firms and some others that are coming online. And I don't know if the way a lot of traders are approaching this is sustainable. And I don't know from a regulatory standpoint if it will be sustainable. So my mission is, can I show people how to trade small accounts properly, use leverage across a variety of these small accounts that can be provided. And by the way, it's no different if you're getting one of these direct accounts. If you're deciding to pay $400, $500, $600, or $700 for $2,500 in risk capital. If you know what you're doing, that's not a terrible deal, because you do need about $2,500 to $3,000 to do even the methods that I'm going to teach. If you just start with $500, it's going to be pretty tight. Although I grow my NinjaTrader account from 2,500 to 5,000, 6,000 almost every month. One of them. That's this one right here. So if you look at the week, this is a $2,500 withdrawal. Sorry, $1,500 withdrawal, or I don't remember, $1,750, something like that. The balance was right here around 41, and I took it down to 25. And then this week, it's back up to 3,039, so $500 a week. Can you earn a living off accounts this small? No. But can you supplement and complement your income and keep your stress really low? Yeah. All right. Any systems that you use for NinjaTrader? I have a number of different scripts and things that I run, but not for the purposes of my education and stuff. It's simply just 2 strategies. Stay in your lane, which is taught in the Futures Fanatic Foundation course completely for free. This is what it looks like when you're using a Ninja Renko or a modified Renko bar. And then you can set up the same thing over here on, let me cancel these orders too. I hope I don't have any, I do not want any working orders here in case something got filled. These are way away from price, but let's get rid of those. Same thing. Here's an account. Started today with, I think, a little under 7,000 or something like that. No, 7,500. A little under 7,500. And I think I showed this already. $731. Here's all the trades right here. Dow Jones. What a surprise. Buy one, buy another, buy another. So here's a 3 lot. Took one off, took one off, took one off. The other money was made in Bitcoin last night, I believe, for today's session. Yep. See right here? Buy here in the, oh, sorry, I know this. I'll move this book out of the way. I'm going to hide the book. Hide the book, dude. All right, right here. Buy one at 86,150, sell it at 88,970. So that was included in this session. And then I think I did one little small trade on the MES. Yeah, right here. I did this yesterday. Nope, that was actually yesterday. This was the trade today. Bought 2, 57.18, 57.24. Sold 57.26, 57.42. Now you try buying one full S&P at 57.24 and then another one 6 points lower when it's down $300, and then get into this candle down here where it goes even lower down to 57.06. Right, you're stopped out. You're done. You're done with this. You're gonzoed right here. Totally blown out. You get that? That's on 2 minis if you did that. Because look at the heat you took. Targets are resting right up here at these moving averages, which I teach about. But anyway, the strategies are very easy to learn. Okay. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions about how to use platforms and how to, it's another pitch for coming into our trade room where we have really supportive people that will help you. I mean, we're not going to do tech support, but if you are seeing that your orders are not getting executed properly, you don't know how to use the platform, you might have OCO set up or first in, first out rules set up incorrectly. So these channels are not for non-members, but if you end up becoming a member of our group, we have a NinjaTrader channel in here, and we have lots of really friendly, helpful people in our group that will, show you how to use NinjaTrader. Yep. So come check it out. All right, that'll be it. Went a little longer than I thought. So stay green, trade like you mean it. If you're watching this in replay and you got all the way to this point, again, check the description down below for the links that will get you done. Have a great weekend. Hope to see some of you in the trade room next week and others on the list. That lets me know that people are getting this message and getting some value from the Prop Done Right ebook. Stay green, trade like you mean it. Have a great weekend. Be good. Bye.